So, how do the kids do it these days? What's up? What's up? No, I'm sorry, Liz. I can't do it that way. I just can't. Welcome. Welcome to this edition of Aztecs All In, where we are all in on San Diego State University Aztec Athletics. Steve Perez here. And over there is the professor, Louis Weiner. Louis, you got that whiteboard and the Zoom cast all ready to go?
Steve, we got football and basketball to talk about today, so I'm excited.
All right, thanks. Don't steal my lines. Anyways, it doesn't get much better for the Aztecs women's soccer team. They are in Laramie, Wyoming, and vying to be the Mountain West Conference champions of the conference tournament as the number 1 seed. The Aztecs football back in action this week, next to last home game of the season. It's a conference game against Utah State. What's up with the team going into this game with the Aztecs at 1-3 in conference play and 3-5 overall? And the men's basketball team and its fans celebrate head coach Brian Dutcher's birthday with an exhibition matchup against Cal State San Marcos. So we got chunks, we got scrunches. We're going to chat. Let's get into it. Women's soccer team is in the Mountain West Conference tournament. They are the number 1 seed. They've got some players, such as the Offensive Player of the Year, Denise Castro. The all-conference teams were announced over the weekend. Joining Castro on the first team, goalkeeper Alexa Maduena. She is a 3-year starter to date on the Mesa and continues to climb the ranks of the SDSU record books. 95 stops so far this season. Second all-time in saves now with 302 career saves. Also on the first team, Alexia Ocampo, midfielder Olivia Sakamoto, and defender Kara Utush. And there are 2 players that are on the second team, forward Emma Gaines-Ramos and Grace Goins. So that makes 7 total honorees, which matches the program record set in 2011. They will take on Colorado State in the Mountain West semifinals. Colorado State 12-5, 3 overall. They went 6-3-2 in Mountain West play. And they will play on a neutral field in Laramie, Wyoming.
We wish them the best. Good luck to the Aztec women's soccer team. As for the Aztec football team, San Diego State back in action after a rare second bye. Aztecs coming off that excruciatingly difficult to remember, hard to watch loss, 6-0 to Nevada. Nevada, of course, breaking a 16-game losing streak. So San Diego State going in against Utah State. Both teams with similar or identical 3-5 records and both 1-3 in the Mountain West, Steve. And this is a game where San Diego State really needs to show that they can push to a possible bowl eligible situation. They need to win 3 out of their last 4 games to do that, Steve.
Yeah, tall order too against Utah State coming in for this game. Utah State has tallied 118 points offensively in the conference. Overall, 282. The Aztecs have been roughed up, shall we say, on defense a lot. So, as we have said a number of times this season, they will have their work cut out for them.
In this week's media availability, Brady Hoke talking to the media for the first time since the loss to Nevada. And the questions were some, of course, about Utah State, but also about the program, how the players are handling the difficulty of that tough loss, and also if there are going to be any changes to the lineup. And the first thing we're going to talk about, Hoke was asked, does success breed less patience among the fan base? And here was his answer.
You know the answer to that. It always does. I mean, certainly. And it's also an expectation that we have. And believe me, we're pissed off. I mean, John, we're pissed off. I'll promise you that. And we should be.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, and we should be.
And that John he is referring to is friend of the show, John Howard of CBS 8 here in San Diego. And John kind of pressed him on that whole issue because John, like us, are San Diego State Aztec alumni, and we're trying to be objective here and cover the thing. But It's also our school, so there's that mix, dynamic in these sorts of exchanges. And the other thing kind of came to mind after reading some of the comments from the fan base in one of the articles online. I believe it was the game story that Kirk Kenney posted at the San Diego Union-Tribune. I've never seen so many comments calling for someone's head. And it's human nature, I suppose. You don't see as many people throwing out lines of praise when they win, but when things go bad, people pile on.
Yeah, give Brady Hoke credit because, that's difficult to do. Coming out of a bye, the last taste in the mouth of fans, and we are fans, Steve, and that's why we do this podcast, because we have the perspective of fans, and we just, so that was tough for him to talk about, but I give him credit for answering the questions and, telling that, hey, they're angry too, just like we are.
Sure, and from a perspective of, even if you are trying to remain a little objective, it's always a better story when the hometown wins. So any newspaper reporter worth their salt who's covering a beat anywhere, or any reporter, it's a much better story if that team you're covering is going to pile up some wins. And when they lose, it's not as good a story, and that's just the nature of the beast.
Absolutely. And you'll remember, if you listen to the post-game podcast, the Nevada game, Brady Hoke had talked about they were going to take that week with a bye and reevaluate certain positions. And he was also asked about that during the media availability.
There's a few positions that we'll continue to evaluate. So, yes, that is happening.
What positions?
Well, we'll talk about that at some point.
Jalen still the starter, though, quarterback?
He's had a good week so far.
So we could anticipate he would be the starter?
We'll see.
So Kirk Kenney of the Union-Tribune pressing Brady Hoke on whether or not Jalen Mayden will start this Saturday's game, Steve, and he did not say yes, which leads you to believe there might be a change, but really, I guess we have to wait until kickoff on Saturday.
At that moment, I don't think, at this point, I think if they were going to say Tobin Odell, who is listed as number 2 on the depth chart, was going to start, they'd say, okay, he's the starter. Or if they knew for a fact Jalen was going to start, for a fact, he would be the starter. At this point in the season, you got to go with whoever gives you the best chance to win the game, and it's hard to believe that a freshman, redshirt freshman who hasn't seen any D1 experience is going to trot out there and try to lead the offense in a game like this where they still have aspirations of qualifying for a bowl game.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. And Brady Hoke did point out today that, prior to the Nevada game, Mayden played very well against Hawaii. So they have to take the entire season. They can't just base it on one bad game.
No, but that's the coaches, and they've been evaluating people throughout the season, and they've seen how they've progressed. And he was also asked at some point in that media availability if someone observed that it appeared that Jalen had regressed, and Brady Hoke disagreed with that assessment. It's a season that's going to have its ups and downs, and it's entirely reliant on the type of opponent and a lot of other variables that people who are only watching the football are going to make judgments based on, but things you know as someone who follows football are dependent on the success of each and every play, and that's people's assignments and whether blocking was followed, whether proper routes were run, all those kinds of things. Again, I've said it before, you follow the quarterback because he handles the ball in every play, but it's a team game.
Yeah, and right now the focus is on Utah State, and what are the players saying about that game?
Well, it was one of those situations where after a performance, it's like the one they had a couple weeks ago, people still had questions about that. And so there were questions about that, and Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, one of the offensive linemen, who's basically a team captain and leader of that group, was asked in so many words what's going on.
Last week we just came out ready to work. It was a competition week last week, so as an offense, we know we should have had a better performance in the Nevada game. It was an embarrassing scene for the offense, but coming out last week, we came out, competed a lot with the defense, so not being able to run the ball was one of our biggest issues. We didn't have that many rushing yards, and then protecting the quarterback. We gave up 1 sack, but we got to be able to protect him 100% always and get the ball downfield with our running backs.
Yeah, the Aztecs in that game only had a total output of 204 yards, shut out for the first time in nearly 5 years. All in all, it wasn't one of those performances that you want to print out and put up using a magnet on the refrigerator. It's one of those situations where you're in the middle of a season. It's not going the way you had hoped or expected. The other tough thing was there was another bye. So rather than being able to just put that one behind you and get up on the next opponent, you had this 2-week period where you were maybe running some things through your mind. And Cedarius Barfield, one of the leaders on defense, the defensive back, addressed the question about going back to how many points the Aztecs have given up throughout the season against various opponents, and an average of more than 400 yards a game. It's not in the tradition of an Aztecs defense to do that. He addresses it in this following compilation.
We're very competitive guys. We had a lot of goals coming into the season. We had a pretty good fall camp. We thought we had a very great team. And then, the record doesn't show what we kind of wanted. And so, like you said, we got to channel that into the next game, kind of play with the edge. It starts in practice. It started yesterday. We had a great day of practice. So we had to kind of take every snap and practice a little harder in every period we have. So, yeah, got to channel that. I just feel like it's a lack of attention to detail. I wouldn't kind of blame it on the young guys. But I just say that I guess when you look at the big plays that we did give up, it was more inmays on our parts, people not being in the right position or kind of not getting the right calls and everything like that. So I wouldn't say it's more of a physical thing, guys, because we have the guys that can, play football, and I feel as though it's more lack of knowing what to do and how to do it. When you look at the past years, it was guys that, knew what they were doing every assignment and stuff like that. So it comes with experience, but that's kind of the older guy's job to make sure everyone knows it's on the right page.
So San Diego State getting set to face a Utah State team, again, struggling much like the Aztecs, same exact record of 3-5 overall and 1-2 in the conference. And a couple of things that San Diego State needs to look out for is Utah State's defense is 3rd in the Mountain West and 13th in the nation, forcing 16 turnovers. And Utah State leads the Mountain West and is 21st in the nation, is scoring at 34 points a game. So both sides of the ball, San Diego State, they need to be aware of. Utah State, pretty good team as far as Brady Hoke is concerned.
Same record. We got two teams that have been fighting. They 35 points a game. They're a good football team. They got two quarterbacks. I can't tell you who's going to play this week, but offensively, they're a good football team, and defensively, I really they force a lot of turnovers. Turnover margin is really high, and so from that standpoint, they're a good football team. I mean, and we got to play obviously better than we have, and we will.
San Diego State's defense will have to be on their toes because Utah State's offense runs a play on average every 21.2 seconds, which ranks as the 5th fastest tempo in the nation, Steve. So the defense, they better get their rest when they can, because that is going to be a track meet up and down the field.
25 passing touchdowns. That's tied for 3rd most in the nation. They will start slow and then finish strong. They've been outpointed in the first quarter on average. That's with a minus 88-point differential. But then the rest of the time, they will outscore. They will try to score and score again, and they will do it with that up-tempo. They lead the Mountain West 21st in the nation in scoring offense with 35 points a game. Yeah, the defense is going to be tested and will have to be on its game. And finally, wrapping up our discussion about football so far, is the what was that scrunch play we were addressing? The scrunching.
Yeah, that's when the Aztecs lined up with three running backs in the backfield in a scrunched formation. Is that the technical term?
That was a technical term. Anyways, I asked BCD about the mentality that you had to have to be in a short yardage situation. The other team knows you're going to run. You know you're going to run, and it's a situation where you got to come through. What are they trying to accomplish on that play? We got the answer from someone who's up front trying to accomplish it.
One big thing I always tell the O-line, especially when in a situation like that, it's a must get. We've got to get this right now. It's an opportunity to keep our defense off the field, one, and two, to get the first down and keep our drive going. Offensively, offensive line-wise, getting our pads down, getting low, and getting under the guy in front of us. We've acclimated the QB sneak into our offense, so I feel like that has definitely played a big role in, getting our first downs and the third and ones and the fourth and ones and everything. So, yeah.
Number 61 on the roster, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon. He stands 6 foot 6 inches. He is 3'10". Lewis, what's your stats on the roster? Your height, weight, and all that? So next time you get a chance to face up to Crenshaw and want to ask him about that scrunch formation, I'd like to put you guys both down in your 3-point stance and see who comes out ahead.
Yeah. Did anybody ask Brady Hoke if they want to rename the play the scrunch play? Because I think that is, that should be the case.
Well, Brady Hoke is an old defensive lineman. One of these days you can stand up to him and ask him yourself. We'll see.
Well, the one thing about this podcast, Steve, is we can use whatever words we want, and if scrunch is how I feel, then that's what I'm going to say. Because if you look at it, no more about the scrunch. Let's
roll on. Sorry.
Let's turn to Aztec basketball. Aztecs exhibition game, first game of the season, first time they're in front of the home fans since last season's glorious trip to the national championship game. Aztecs playing Cal State San Marcos. It was tight early, but of course, as expected, the Aztecs did pull away, easily winning 81-50. The high score for the Aztecs, Jaedon LeDee, he scored 20 points, 5 of 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from three-point range. And last year, LeDee was 0 for 9 from three-point range. So that is really exceptional to see if he's going to be successful shooting the three. He was also 8 of 10 from the free throw line, and he pulled down 8 rebounds. And after the game, Coach Brian Dutcher was asked what he thought about LeDee's performance.
He fouled a guy out. I think he played, shot 10 free throws and 20 points, 11 rebounds. So I think that's going to be a standard for him. I mean, he's maybe didn't have 11 rebounds. He had fouls drawn, I think is what it is. 11 fouls drawn, 8 rebounds. But he's a physical presence in there. So I got to make sure he gets the fouls he deserves. He draws a foul almost every time he's in there, and eventually the refs don't want to call them all. So he's a physical presence in there, and he's tough to guard.
So San Diego State looking to LeDee to be a huge presence on the floor this season, having lost big guys, Arope and Nathan Mensah and Kashad Johnson going to Arizona. So LeDee is one of the key players this season, learned, of course, with Darion Trammell and Lamont Butler. And for the Aztecs to be back in front of the home fans last night was really exciting because they've been playing against each other, but it's nice to work on the chemistry and the camaraderie on the court in front of the home fans. And Jaedon LeDee and Elijah Sanders talked about that.
It's fun to play against a different team. I feel like this week of practice especially, it was really competitive. And, now that we're playing all together against an opponent, I feel like, it's good for us to build chemistry on the court all as one compared to playing against each other all the time.
I agree. It's a lot funner to play games and have practice. So, just, coming out here with the fans and all the electricity. I remember this time last year I had a little adjustment period, so I'm glad we had it.
So one of the nice things about that game, too, is the players on scholarship got to see a lot of game time in that kind of a game. And sometimes when you're in tight games that really matter, you're going with the hot hands and a lot of other people sit and watch. But every scholarship player also played in the game, and you see them on the stat sheet, and they got to log at least 10 minutes of game time. So good opportunity for that. Also, just a good opportunity to reflect upon the nature of the importance of continuity in a program, such as basketball. Last 6 seasons, 6 conference titles, 4 trips to the big dance, and say it with me, Lewis, a run to the national championship.
Still hard to believe they played in the national championship game. I was there, and what a run it was.
Steve Fisher built this city, reigned for 18 seasons on the Mesa, and this guy was there for all of them last 6 years as the head coach in waiting. I speak, of course, of the Aztecs head coach, Brian Dutcher, who also celebrated a birthday before, during, and after the Aztecs exhibition against Cal State San Marcos. Someone in the media gaggle wished him a happy birthday, and he was very gracious about it.
Well, I'm only one guy on the team knew how old I was, and they all underguessed my age, so it was a great night. So, but then we got done with the game, and they had a red velvet cake for me, so I had a piece of cake on my way up, so it couldn't be any better. This might be the only one I think we've had where we've played on my birthday, so that's pretty cool. So it was fun.
I was very amazed to hear that after all the time he had spent on the basketball court in the college game, that was the first time Brian Dutcher had actually marked a birthday, with the basketball game. So, but like everybody else in the stands and around, we wish him a long and happy life, and hope he has enjoyed the birthday and many more to come.
Yep, Aztecs open the season next Monday night for real against Cal State Fullerton at Viejas Arena. And that will do it for this episode of Aztecs All In. Thanks so much for making us a part of your day. You could follow us on the X, Aztecs_all_in. You could also reach us at the Gmail address, aztecsallin@gmail.com. Please follow and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. For Steve Perez, I'm Louis Weiner. Until next time, so long.